Welcome back to Undercover Mysteries. In today's episode, we explored two devastating cave expeditions that ended in ways no one could have imagined. As always, viewer discretion is strongly advised.
From far away, Mount Ijen looks like just a normal mountain. But when you reach the top, you see something you won't find anywhere else in the world. There's a huge crater, and right in the middle is a lake that shines bright turquoise. The color is so strong it almost looks fake, like someone spilled blue paint into the mountain's bowl. Local people call this lake a ticking bomb. Some government people say the danger isn't so bad, but the folks who live nearby know the truth. Just try asking the miners. Many still refuse to talk about what happened in 2020. That lake isn't normal water. It's a giant pool of acid, the most acidic lake on Earth. The pH is almost 0, so metal melts if it touches it and skin burns right away. Even the air above the lake is dangerous. Sulfur gas leaks out from cracks and holes, and sometimes it bursts out fast and you can't see it coming. If you breathe it, your throat starts burning and your chest feels tight. If you can't escape quickly, you pass out. And if nobody drags you to fresh air, you die. Still, people keep coming. At night, tourists climb to the edge of the crater because they want to see the blue fire. It happens when sulfur gas escapes the rocks, hits the air, and catches fire. It glows bright blue in the darkness. Most tourists have no idea what they're standing over. Nobody really explains the rules, and there's no big warning speech. The only ones who truly understand are the miners. They go down into the crater every day, usually after the tourists leave. They carry heavy iron tools and hit the yellow sulfur rocks until they break. The pieces are sharp and rough. The smell up there is awful, like burnt matches, and it makes your eyes water and your throat hurt. The miners tie wet cloths over their mouth and nose to help a little, but it's not much protection. Some buy cheap masks, but those break fast, and they keep using them way too long. A few miners say they're used to the burn now and don't need anything. Really, their skin and lungs have just gone numb from breathing the gas every day.
When they break off a big piece of sulfur, they put it in baskets. Some baskets weigh almost 200 pounds, and the miners carried them on their shoulders up the steep crater path. They do this trip twice a day. For all that hard, painful work, they earn only $10 to $15 a day. It's brutal, and almost none of the miners live to be old. It was noon on May 29, 2020. The tourists were gone. Only miners were down in the crater. Many were working late to finish their daily quota. If they didn't, they'd lose their job that same day. Things were already tough. Some miners had quit recently because their lungs were too damaged to continue. That happens a lot. Others had asked for better pay and never got it. Everyone was pushing hard that day. Nobody wanted to stop, even for a second, to check if it was safe. At first, everything looked normal, just another tough shift. But something felt wrong. Suddenly, the ground moved. It wasn't a big shake that knocked people over. It was more like a slow rolling wave under their feet. A few miners looked at each other confused, like, "Did you feel that too?" But most just kept working. They were too busy trying to reach their quota to care. Then the air changed. It became sharp, like metal, and every breath hurt. It felt like sucking in smoke from a burning cloth. The wet rags over their faces didn't help at all. The men pulled them off and tried to breathe, but that only let more gas in. Their eyes started burning like fire. Someone pointed at the lake. The water wasn't calm anymore. Big circles were moving across the surface. Some miners whispered they had never seen it act like that before. Then the water started to rise, first just a little swell. Then the whole lake lifted up like a giant wall. The first wave crashed hard against the far side of the crater and turned into white foam. Then it came back, even bigger. Shouts exploded everywhere. The miners finally understood they had to run or die. Some raced toward the zigzag path that climbs to the rim. Others just stood frozen, too shocked to move, until someone pushed them and yelled, "Run! Run now!" Up on the rim, a ranger grabbed his radio. He could barely speak. He said, "Something's happening. It's getting worse fast." The answer came right away. Close the trail, close the rim, shut the whole place down. Down in the crater, the waves kept coming. The spray burned skin the moment it touched. Near the edge, two miners were still working. Suddenly, one dropped his heavy iron bar and ran uphill. He looked back once and never forgot what he saw. His friend stayed. He was way behind on his quota. If he didn't fill one more basket, he would lose his job. He thought he had time to grab a little more sulfur before running.
That one thought cost him his life. The wave hit him. The ground under his feet just disappeared. He fell into the deep acid water and came up once, gasping. His arms waved wildly. His skin turned bright red where the acid touched him. Then another wave slammed him sideways into the boiling foam. He reached out, grabbing nothing but air. Then the foam closed over him and he was gone. The miner who ran first kept climbing. He coughed so hard he almost fell, but he forced himself up. He looked back one last time. The waves were still coming, but each one was smaller. Finally, the shaking slowed down and stopped. The rangers made the decision. The park was closed. No one else could come in. From the rim, it looked like everything was calming down again. The miners climbed higher up the path until the air felt a bit cleaner. They checked each other's eyes, hands, and throats. Everything was red and sore, and everyone was coughing, but most were still on their feet. One man was missing. Everyone knew who, but nobody said his name right away. Someone called down to the hut at the bottom. One miner didn't come up, last seen near the east side. The answer was clear. Teams are coming, but nobody goes back into the crater. Night in the crater is too dangerous, so the teams left. At the first light of morning, they came back. On the east side, they saw something, a yellow hard hat floating near some rocks. The paint was burned and bubbly. The strap was gone, but they kept looking, hoping the hat meant the man was close. Later that afternoon, a guide ran up to the rangers. He spoke quietly. "There's another person missing, a tourist." He didn't come with any official group. He sneaked in before sunrise. The tourist paid a miner to take him very close to the lake for a video. He wanted to stand next to the blue fire vent for his YouTube channel. His friend said nothing until now because he was scared of going to prison. In Indonesia, prison is a place nobody wants to see. The ranger asked, "Where is the friend?" The guide pointed to a young man in a gray shirt. He was staring at the ground, hands shaking. When the ranger called him, he walked over slowly, looking like he might throw up. They had arrived at the gate while it was still dark, using only a weak red light so guards wouldn't see. The miner met them and took them down a secret path that tourists never use. The air already smelled bad and burned the nose. They paid cash. For 20 minutes, the tourist filmed, walking closer and closer to the lake even after the miner told him to stop. He wanted the perfect shot. Then the ground shook and the lake rose. The young man said he just ran. He doesn't even remember how he got out. He hid near the trail, too afraid to tell anyone because he thought he would go straight to jail.
The ranger asked for proof. The young man gave his phone with tears in his eyes. He kept saying sorry. They played the video. You hear a loud whistle, then the miner's voice, "Move back!" The tourist laughs and says, "Just one more step." The camera shakes, bright white light fills the screen, and then nothing. Then someone farther along the rim called out. Another yellow hard hat had washed up. The paint was still bright, but the strap was ripped off like someone tore it in one hard pull. A miner looked and said, "That belongs to the guide who took the tourist down this morning." The next morning, just as the sun came up, the lookout saw something moving far out in the lake. Something was floating and moving with the slow current. The team tied a rope, leaned far over the edge with a long hook, and carefully pulled it in. For a few seconds, everyone went quiet. From far away, it really looked like a body. Someone even thought they saw an arm moving. But when it got close, they saw the truth. It wasn't a person. It was just a green backpack with a camera case tied to it. Inside the bag, they found a phone, sealed in plastic, but it was dead. The young man in the gray shirt saw it and fell apart. He started crying hard. That was his friend's bag.
The camera inside was supposed to have the amazing video they risked everything for. Now, it was the only thing that proved the lake had taken him. The rangers didn't know what to say. The miners said nothing at all. They had seen this many times before. By the next morning, Mount Ijen looked peaceful again. The water was bright and still, like nothing had happened, but the people who really know the mountain understand that the quiet is only a cover. The lake had made its choice. For now, it decided to keep it secret. And that's the end of the story. Allen Mill Pond Cave sits behind a quiet pond in northwest Florida, but beneath the surface is a compact, technical, and dangerous cave system known for its tight passages and unpredictable visibility. The entrance drops straight into narrow limestone corridors where divers immediately switch to side-mount-style movement. Space is limited, turning even simple maneuvers into careful, controlled steps. The cave's biggest threat is its silt. One fin kick can erase all visibility and turn the route back into guesswork. The system averages around 40 to 46 feet in depth and winds through a maze of restrictive tunnels. These passages may be small, but they demand full focus from anyone entering. Many divers describe Allen Mill Pond as a place that tests precision more than endurance. The cave doesn't offer large chambers or dramatic formations. Instead, its danger comes from how quickly the environment can shift from manageable to extremely risky. Its most known incident happened in February 2007, when a diver became trapped deep inside the cave. The recovery proved how challenging this system really is. Teams reported working through extremely tight spaces with near-zero visibility, relying entirely on touch and line awareness. Specialized side-mount recovery divers were brought in because traditional setups couldn't fit through the restrictions. The event turned Allen Mill Pond into a cautionary example within the cave diving community. Despite its size, the cave has a reputation that experienced divers respect. Its passages are mapped, but the system still requires strict discipline, proper gear, and full familiarity with silt-heavy environments. Allen Mill Pond Cave is not a place for exploration without preparation. It's a site where every decision matters and every mistake carries consequences. February 14, 2007, began as another routine survey day for 53-year-old diver Ron Simmons, a respected explorer who had spent years mapping the submerged passages of Allen Mill Pond. He wasn't a casual visitor, he was a methodical mapper with 43 previous dives in this spring alone, and more than 2,524 feet, 769.6 meters of surveyed passage logged. Each dive added another piece to the cave's hidden geometry. That morning, Ron arrived early at a lesser-used spring vent tucked deep in the woods. The weather was clear, visibility was promising, and his plan was simple: extend the survey into one of the unmapped branches he had documented on earlier dives. As always, he assembled his side-mount setup with careful precision: primary and backup lights, gauges, regulators, slate, calibrated survey line. Everything checked out. Shortly before 10 a.m., he slipped into the water and descended toward the entrance. He paused briefly for his final check, then followed his permanent guideline into the darkness. The first couple hundred feet were familiar territory, a route he had crossed dozens of times. His light cut through the clear water, and he moved with steady confidence. At roughly 200 feet of penetration, Ron reached a T-intersection he knew well. According to his plan for the day, he turned left, entering a tighter branch of the maze. After squeezing through a restriction, the passage opened slightly, revealing a small chamber with multiple offshoots. This was the area he intended to map. For hours, he worked with the same precision he was known for, measuring distances, recording depths, sketching the shape of each corridor. By the third hour, he had successfully surveyed 238 feet, or 72.5 meters of new passage. But as he prepared to continue, a problem emerged. A check of his pressure gauge showed something was wrong. His primary tank was draining far faster than expected. Whether from exertion or a subtle leak, the result was the same. He no longer had enough air for a comfortable exit. He switched to his secondary tank and found it lower than it should have been as well. He was 300 feet, or 91.4 meters from the entrance, deep inside a maze with no dive partner and no remaining margin for error. Ron immediately began heading out, still breathing slowly and maintaining control. His swimming position later indicated he did not panic. He knew the path, but but the clock was already against him. At some point on the return, his primary tank emptied completely. He switched to his reserve and continued towards safety, now relying on the last remaining supply of breathable gas. When he failed to surface at his expected time, concern spread quickly. Noted cave diver and friend Wes Skiles contacted law enforcement to check the mainspring entrance for Ron's vehicle. When nothing was found, the search widened. The next morning, Wes and Jill Heinerth located Ron's vehicle near the hidden spring vent, confirming his entry point. The Lafayette County Sheriff's Office mobilized immediately, and by afternoon, the site became a coordinated rescue scene. At 3:55 p.m. on February 15th, diver Mark Long entered the system for a reconnaissance dive, reaching 650 feet or 198 meters of penetration. After nearly an hour underwater, he surfaced without finding Ron. Reviewing Ron's in-progress maps revealed why. Mark had searched the wrong branch. Allen Mill Pond's twisting layout made it crucial to follow Ron's intended route.
At 5:06 p.m., Mark descended again, this time following the correct tunnel and laying a guideline as he advanced. 42 minutes later, he surfaced, carrying Ron's body. Ron was found in a swimming position, one regulator still in his mouth and the other drifting behind him. Both tanks were fully empty. His computer showed a maximum depth of 28 feet, or 8.5 meters, consistent with his survey notes. Even in his final moments, he had continued documenting the cave, adding almost 240 feet of new passage to the map. The evidence suggested a controlled but urgent attempt to exit, with Ron managing his breathing until the last possible moment. The 2007 incident stands as a stark reminder of how quickly conditions can turn inside an underwater cave. For even the most skilled divers, running out of breathing gas in a complex system leaves no second chances. Ron Simmons' final dive came down to a single, unforgiving factor: an unexpected loss of breathing gas deep inside a maze with no quick exit. Whether caused by a slow leak, higher exertion through tight restrictions, or both, his air supply depleted far faster than planned. This tragedy highlights cave diving's strict margins. A second diver could have shared air or provided redundancy during an emergency, significantly increasing Ron's survival chances. Additional gas reserves, such as staged cylinders placed along the route, would have offered escape options if consumption rose unexpectedly. Continuous real-time monitoring of both tanks might have prompted a much earlier turnaround. Finally, entering a silty, restrictive system alone leaves no buffer when plans shift. Ron's skill was unquestionable, but even experts benefit from partners, surplus gas, and conservative limits. In environments where every breath counts, preparation must exceed expectation.